Welcome to the Outlandish podcast. I'm here with Jason Dodo, the CEO of FHIE and one of the partners of Outlandish. So to start with, Jason, how much money did the Unbrush make and how did that all start?
Yeah, so we've done dollars in GMV since we started. We were kind of the early adopters on TikTok. We launched right as the shop launched in the beginning of 2023. And this was a hard start in the beginning, right? Because we started actually with live shop. That's really how we started, so we started doing really lives actually in our office, and we really struggled in the beginning. We sell hair appliances, which are more expensive, that are north of $100. So we had a really high AOV. We know that we needed to do it because we kind of probably did what everybody else did, where we're going to put a big production together, bring in influencers, have them talk on the lives. And it just really didn't work, dude. So we were initially looking down, like here's a production that just cost us several $100, $800, and we literally did, one sale.
What did you do after that? You're like, shit, what do we do?
So it's like, I'm like all of this effort, and I just redid out like a whole office environment, and like that we don't really know what we're going to do. And like, okay, TikTok's just going to go away. That Meta, one of the other platforms are, and it was, we kind of made a decision to just plug our way through it and just keep trying it. And we weren't going to get lazy. I think TikTok had said to us, you got to go consistently live. And we just made a decision, no matter what's going to happen, we're just going to go live.
We'll just go. We're just going to grind.
Yeah. It just doesn't matter. We're just going to keep trying this. And, at some point in time, we could do the math on what it was costing us to do it, and we were trying for the higher AOV items. We tried discounting. And at one point in time, somebody, in the office was just like, we have this product, which is the Unbrush. We love the product. At this stage, let's just try and sell the cheaper product. We know we won't make money out of it. And let's just see if we can get it in people's hands. So, we kind of launched the Unbrush back in 2017.
So let's talk about the Unbrush. Can we get the Unbrush in the background as we're talking about it as well? Just so people know. So firstly, I guess, explain what the Unbrush is.
So the Unbrush is a detangling hairbrush. It's like, it looks different than most of the other hairbrushes. It doesn't have a back. It's designed obviously for both wet and dry hair. But it's really just works, right? It doesn't have a back where, some of the other competitors, if they're doing for wet or dry hair, it gets moldy. We just like the product. And we kind of, we discovered the product. Really what was the true origin story for us is we picked up the item, we'd worked on it, and we developed it. And we were really looking for a great gift with purchase item,
right,
pair up with our hair appliances.
Okay.
Right? And, we were doing promotional shows, and
here we go. We got the mini one, the mini
super mini. Yeah. Yeah. But so
just to be clear, that is the mini Unbrush. That's not
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what we've kind of done is
by the way, we should talk about that as well, and like how we're making you're making new hero products as well. But yeah, keep going. Sorry.
No problem. All right. So basically, I'll give the confession. I need to go quick.
No, you're fine.
I can go faster.
No, that's good.
Okay, all right. On the origin story. So really what had actually happened is we'd done it as a promotional item when we launched it in 2017.
Yeah.
And, we didn't really go back at it. We didn't, because it was kind of bundled with other product sales. And during the course of the year, I was working with the end of the year, and we're cleaning out samples. We gave the samples to marketing, and, the marketing department, comes back, we'd given them the samples around Christmas as we're cleaning out the office, and April they're coming and asking for more samples, and then we get more samples for the product, and then around August they're asking for more samples, for friends and family. My other person was, and we're kind of like, okay, well, we know we loved the product, it wasn't a huge seller when we had it bundled, and we're kind of like, well, maybe we should just launch it as a standalone item.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what we did, and we had great sales, and it was just hard to break in outside. We knew the product was a great item, and if we could get it into people's hands, it was going to be terrific.
So at what point did you realize, like, oh, this is going viral. And how crazy did it get?
Yeah, so it went crazy. So basically, the lives, even at the beginning, and I think those who are watching this will probably know live is the hardest part to do on any of the TikTok platforms. We know that that's the future, but back in the early 2023s, this was really young and it was really hard. But the lives had kind of triggered a couple of people to purchase the brush.
Yeah.
Those people who had purchased the brush initially, they're the ones who did the videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It wasn't just the creators and the affiliates, but that kind of triggered it. And then the creators started to onboard and actually get the product and start going. And where we really knew it was, like, I remember our very first video that went viral, there was a couple of million views. And we were like, amazing. We're so excited that it had gone viral. And we're like, that's amazing. Maybe we get another month out of this with the product going viral. And then there's another video that came. He has 6 million views, and he has another one at 20 million views.
Because that's the thing. Everyone, like, obviously the GMV, the revenue on TikTok Shop is great, but what about the media? How valuable is the media?
Yeah, the media value is infinite. So look, there's lots of people who will go out and say, I think at one stage we looked at it, we were counting media views in hundreds of millions every month, not just a couple of videos. I mean, we were getting, 100, 700, 800, 900 million video impressions every night. And, for the media value,
is previously, how much were people spending on that without even expecting the sales?
Yeah, millions. Like if you take the CPM on whatever Facebook CPM, and I know the CPMs go up and down and it's wide, and if you're either paying like $8, $10, $20, I mean, Meta in the crazy days, you can be paying, $30 CPM. Yeah.
Because I remember, I saw the Unbrush in the beginning, and I saw people use it, and I had some friends buy it, and they were saying like, it looks great on video, but more importantly, it actually works really well.
That really is
that's the key, because then everyone, even if you're not paying them, they make a video and then they're like, this actually works really well. And then you get the social proof and the evidence behind it. And at the time, in the beginning of the market, it was the perfect price point. So what was like $18. And so you're getting how many purchases in total do you think were
2.2 million?
2.2 million. And so in the beginning, TikTok Shop made it happen. It made the product go viral in the first place. But what would you say now is the percentage of TikTok sales compared to other sales? In the beginning, it was what, 100%?
Yeah, in the beginning, even in the beginning, it wasn't fully 100%, because the second it went viral on TikTok, the Amazon business exploded.
Right. The halo effect.
Correct. Yeah. So the product, again, had been launched back in 17 and 18, and it was just a good product on Amazon. Had good reviews. We knew it was there, and it was just stable. But basically, after this, we ranked number 1 on Amazon in the category. I think the maximum that we ever got to in beauty was, I think, 8 or 9 on Amazon.
Okay.
Right? And we actually held, and we've still held the position, in the top 1 or 2 brushes, really 18 months after going viral.
What would you say, like so in the beginning, let's say the percentage of revenue from TikTok to Amazon, is it like a 1-to-1? Is it like,
I think we were running it like a 4-to-1.
So 4 on TikTok?
1 on TikTok, 4 on Amazon.
1 on TikTok, 4 on Amazon.
Like, it was a big in the beginning, but we were throttling back Amazon's inventory. We didn't have enough inventory. We knew we knew that at the time when it was going viral, we lived in the world that today is the last day that the product's going viral. But
Yeah.
Every single day is where we lived with it. We just didn't know which was going to be the final day. And we kind of managed the inventory on Amazon to let TikTok have its full run for inventory. And we basically air freighted in 2 million units.
Because this, as an agency, this is one of the biggest things that's very hard to tell people. Like, yes, we hope you do really well on TikTok, but you're going to do really well on other platforms just from the media.
Yeah.
If one video goes viral, the amount of sale, you will go to the top of Amazon, like, very quickly.
Yeah, correct.
Which,
I think there's a couple of key things. You've got to have a good product, because you don't want to spend money because it's too expensive and the social proof is going to come up.
Yeah.
Number 1 has to be good. Otherwise, you're just throwing marketing dollars at a bad product. And that's really not possible to do.
Yeah.
Like it's really expensive. But to answer your question about what's the media value, there's a perception on, look, the true truth of formula is, did we run enough media on TikTok that's such that we can go into a retail channel and sell?
Yeah.
And what TikTok really allowed us to do was to get into Target, and we basically went into Target. We pitched Target, on the 1st of December, and we shipped, and we were on the floor by the 1st of February, which was lightning quick.
Yeah.
I think Target did a case study on us because it was very, very fast, but there was a lot of people who got behind it.
Yeah.
Right. From the Target team, like they did an unbelievable execution because they were a big machine to roll out. So Target rolled us out in, I think, to that maybe 17 or 1800 doors, and it went on. That's basically the entire country.
So you went viral at what month, and then you started speaking to Target how many months after you went viral?
9 months.
9 months after you went viral, you were in Target.
I think it took us maybe 11 months from the day, I would say, is the day we started going viral till we were on the floor.
And now, what would you say the percentage of sales is coming from TikTok shop to retail?
10%.
10%. But TikTok made it happen.
100%.
Okay.
100%. The product went viral.
And live streams in particular was the starting point.
Yeah, so live streams especially, we got live streams. It was weird because it didn't even make sense for us at the time. But when we put the product card out, nobody would even know to discover it. So we pushed it forward with live streams. We didn't know that we were doing it at the time, but that's actually effectively how we launched.
Because live stream is very personable, right? So even if you don't have a ton of sales, people are going to watch and they might give you a chance. And I guess that's just what happened with you. And then they made a video, and that video just went super viral.
Somebody started to trigger, and then the influencers came in and said, okay, this is a good product. Once you actually had a good product and the influencers are starting to talk about it, and people want to sell it.
Yeah.
We're very grateful. We're very lucky. We're very fortunate that it went this way.
Yeah. Well, what would you say to any seller that's looking to start on TikTok shop on what to do, or more importantly, what not to do if you're getting started?
Yeah. So you have to have a good product, number one, right? Like the price point, it's hard, I don't know what the right price point is because, it really just goes back to the good product. Like if you have a good product and you are 100% sure that if you put this in enough people's hands, your product's going to go.
You have to have a lot of confidence in your product. For sure.
It's got to be good. If you have something,
someone has to take a leap of faith, right? If you're sending this to, you're putting this in live streams, you're sending this to 1,000 creators. If the product sucks, there's nothing you can really do about it. You have to be very confident that this product, if in the right person's hands, will sell.
Yeah, then it's just a numbers game of how many people do you need to send out to. And I don't know if the number's 100, is it 1,000, is it 10,000?
Yeah.
But eventually it will break through. Obviously it's sometimes not feasible. You can't send out a $300 item to 1,000 people hoping that somebody's going to trigger.
Yeah.
It's got to be very good.
And it does need to be well priced. Doesn't have to be cheap. It needs to be a deal, I would say. Yeah. You need value for money. And you preferably have a product that is something discoverable, which the Unbrush definitely is. Untangle brush, you're using this old brush, use this brush instead, try it out. Oh my God, look how amazing it is. Bam, viral.
Yeah. But I think you've also got to approach it like you can't just take a widget and just throw it up there and say innovation might not be enough to sell it. So you can't just say, hey, my product's innovative. You've got to do the rest of the marketing behind it. Got to do the website. There's a basic branding package that you've got to put behind. But most entrepreneurs have done that part.
Yeah.
They've already done all the hard work. They've been passionate about the product. They'll put it out there, and they've kind of built the website. They've come up with the name. They've tested the product. It's not really something. Don't know if you can make it a formula. You can try and make the process maybe formulaic, but the passion that the entrepreneur puts into it, you can't really just create.
That's true. The person that is the CEO or the owner of the brand has to be passionate about it to work.
Yeah.
Like when we're working with brands and they go hands off, and it's hard because we don't have the same insight to the product that the owner, the person,
you're never going to get.
Even on live streams, like we do a lot of live streams, but when an owner goes on a live stream, it's different.
Yeah. Listen, I had lots of people for years. We were struggling with the Unbrush for really like 4 to 5 years before it actually hit. And I mean, even to the point, and I'm sure this has happened to lots of entrepreneurs, that it's almost at the stage where you're like, well, we're just never going to get this into people's hands. And that's when it triggers. And you just got to keep going.
I heard Beach Waver was the same as well. They were struggling, and then, she went on a live stream. Actually, she was also live stream.
She did it on Meta.
On the Meta?
I think is where they started and triggered.
But I also think like when we're talking about TikTok Shop, you can't replicate exactly, but there are definitely principles of discovery, price points, when to do live streams, how many creators, what type of creators. So that's where we created Social Collective, where I actually did make a whole video course of everything I know for people to join. So if anyone's interested, join Social Collective as well. But yeah, I have one more question. So you did the TikTok Shop into retail. That's a difficult process, right? How is it different from doing TikTok Shop to working with channels like Target?
Yeah, listen, Target and those channels, look, it's very, very different, but it's still some version of sell through. Your product's still got to move it. In retail, mass retail, there's a lot of moving parts, and obviously you've got to have a great partner in your retailers, but your product needs to sell through. And if it doesn't, it gets very expensive once you get to scale. But you've got to really have the media. So if TikTok's continuing to drive media, and we're trying to get as much influencer media, which is non-paid media, effectively organic media, then your product will pull through at retail. And then retail's good.
So you have to still keep investing in TikTok, but maybe the purpose now is not necessarily for TikTok, it's for other channels. So the mindset changes.
It's always like that. It's always, we view TikTok as a marketing platform at all points in time. Like we want to spend as much money in TikTok to almost, to almost to a break even.
Yeah.
So we can push the media out and distribute the product. Now, like I think you brought up the mini Unbrush, the super mini, most of the good ideas are really just people in our company saying they want this product and making it.
Interesting.
So, Gina, who's our president of the company, she wanted the super mini, and she literally went through,
it's really cute.
A lot of iterations. And initially people were like, well, it's a giveaway product. Does it need to be functional? And she was just adamant. She's like, no, it better be functional. And we just went through iteration until it became something functional, and then it worked.
So that's kind of something I want to touch on, the hero product, because you had the Unbrush, and then you launched the Unbrush Plus.
Yeah.
And now you have the mini Unbrush.
The super mini.
So
we have a mini, and then we have a super mini. We have all three. We have three sizes.
Okay.
Plus,
they have a super mini?
well, the super mini is the mini.
Oh, okay.
The super mini. There's a mini. There's a size in between. There's a mini.
So at what point did you think, like, we need a new hero product?
The day we went viral.
Okay.
Like literally, that's the day you need to start planning for the next.
What was the runway until, like, okay, we have this many months, or this is how fast I want to get the next hero product out?
Immediately.
It's just as fast as possible.
As fast as possible, as fast as we can honestly do it, because you just don't know when your last day is. So you've got to be continually. You need to pipeline your new product development, because it's hard to come up with two great products, and it needs time, and the marketing department's got to go through it. If you rush a product through the development process,
yeah,
it just never seems to work. It just takes time. It takes time for the creatives. The engineering guys might get it done quickly, but people need to use it, test it, and it just needs runway. And you never know. It can take a long time.
And when you launch a new product, do you go immediately to your existing big creators and be like, new product launch, guys, everyone push?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, 100%. Like you have to go there. That's the first people.
So it's easier the second time than it is the first time?
For sure not.
Not?
Absolutely no. Listen, it's easier once we've got it. But I think the second we just assume that anything's going to be easy, it's some version of hubris, and you're just destined for fail. Like we're grateful every day that we have the influencers talking about the product, pushing our brand. We just don't take the customer for granted at any point in time, because I think the second we do that, we're down.
Yeah.
Like we've really got to nurture it, and we've got to make great products. Sometimes we've launched products that aren't great. It just goes badly.
Yeah.
And and you can't really rush it out. And we want to we seed the product out to our influencers and make sure that they test it. Let them come up with the ideas that we're not doing. So normally when we do a new product launch, we don't go big. We by design go small.
You test.
Let it test out. Correct. Because otherwise, if you launch and here's 100,000 pieces that we have a problem with that we didn't pick up on our initial testing. So we by nature we will launch in a tight group products. Let us get out there. Make sure that we don't have any issues with it, and then we go full.
So this another question, which I think is quite important when you get that virality, is how do you deal with fakes? People releasing and happens in every category. When you get popular, they will try and fake it. How do you deal with that?
So there's a bunch of platforms that exist out there on the net. There's companies that are actually set up for this, and there's multiple of them. We happen to use one of them, and especially if you get to real size, you've got to go and you really actually got to go get a platform to do that.
Right.
There's lots of software as a service that will literally do that. We actually did it with the Unbrush because the fakes became a problem. And the fakes, so we went out after it in two ways. First of all, you've got the takedown services that will take down posts. You've got a copyright, trademark, patent if you can get a patent on it. Get all of that locked in. Understand also that, if you don't have an image copywritten, it's still your content and you still write it. So when people steal that is still an acceptable thing to file and say, hey, somebody else is using this content. We actually went about it as well in an additional way where we actually filed lawsuits. So during the course of 23 and 24, we filed it's not a class action, but we grouped up a bunch of people into it. I think we ended up suing maybe 1,500 people, collectively, and we litigated to really shut them down.
And that was successful. That was effective.
I mean, it's still, even today, I was looking, as TikTok's now and the product's rolling out globally, there's just markets that are popping up, and it's a little bit of whack-a-ball. But, initially I was of the mindset that I didn't need to go and shut them down because the people were building up, until we were starting to get negative reviews and people were returning counterfeit products. And then it's damaging to the brand, and you're like, okay, we need to actually shut this down.
Because then they come and complain to you about the bad product, and you're like, that's not even my product.
Yeah, and some of the other brands, we see people doing videos, and he has a negative review on it, and they unwrap it, it's our outside packaging, but underneath we can clearly see it's not our product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on other up and coming platforms? And are you looking at any other platforms outside of TikTok, like Shein, Temu, Flip, whatnot?
Flip was
YouTube shops.
I think YouTube for sure.
Yeah,
I think YouTube is where it's going to be. I think the live shopping and what we're learning about live shopping, I think is going to go back onto the other platforms, because I think it is live shopping.
Oh, very bullish on live shopping.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so, because it's actually the one thing that we can actually effectively do. And I think that an always on live shopping is where customer service is going to go.
Yeah.
And once this really matures,
24/7,
people are going to be trained to actually hop on, ask a question. And for us as a brand, I think if we can actually staff the live shopping always on with personal interaction with your clients, I think that, especially once you've trained somebody, if somebody knows that FHI is going live at a particular point in time, and they can hop onto the live and ask the host questions about a product, that's engagement. It makes it better for our hosts because they've got the engagement. Right now, the live shopping is existing in a world where it's just sale, push. And I'd like to see live shopping go more to this Q&A where people can actually go and learn.
Community, go and learn. Interesting, when I spoke to Shan, the live host for Crocs and Bloom, said exactly the same thing. She said, I think, it would be better if I could not sell as much, more entertainment, more community. And we aligned that. I think that's a growth thing, because you need to buy the first time. And the only reason you're going to buy the first time is urgency. You have to buy it right now. After they buy the first time, they know to buy, and then they'll come back without having to push the urgency. It just becomes a habit, the shopping habit.
Yeah.
Which other markets is a lot more mature. But
because it's even if you look at the home shopping channels, they break the the home shopping channels down into segments where it's education and then offer, call to action, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And then the infomercials were a different world altogether, long form 30-minute infomercials. It's hard for us to really duplicate maybe that 30-minute infomercial, but I think what's happening here at Outlandish, I really want to get to the stage here where we are finally bringing the consumer behind the camera, or like, I guess, in front of the camera, interacting with that. Because once we get that first-time user using the product and the consumers, which is really what we're trying to create at Outlandish, where the consumer is walking on and actually engaging with the product live.
Yeah.
People are watching offline. That's where I think the magic's going to happen. We're just going to wait maybe for the market to get there.
I think it's close. We like the demand in this place, and even everyone that's walking in, they every time phone out, film, like, can I jump on the live stream? So it's getting.
I think that's the magic, and I think that the second we do that, so in the infomercials, I mean, you want me to explain about the infomercials traditional used to work?
Let's talk about your background and everything.
My first entrepreneurial venture was into infomercials, right? So I was, we took a hair straightener, and basically the genesis of it was really, I was involved in retail stores, and we would have a hairstylist come in and push. And obviously everybody does that now. You've got the experts at Sephora, at Ulta, pushing the product. So, but pre-Ulta days, which I know I'm dating myself a little bit, before that, we would have, beauty stores, and we would bring a hairstylist in, and really, when we brought the hairstylist in, sales for that retail store would double. Our customer count didn't actually double. It's just because that hairstylist was able to sell that appliance to an individual, which the store personnel would never have actually been able to do.
Yeah.
So that then took me from how do I take that creation in store at a one-to-one level and put that on TV and tell that story, which is really the story again that we told at the Unbrush. So we shot an infomercial. The infomercial was very successful. But watching that infomercial, and the infomercials are kind of dissected into 3 segments, right? Where it's like a call to action, it's a host segment, there's testimonials, which is your social proof effectively for today.
Yeah.
In your host segment, it's kind of that live interaction, which is really like what all home shopping looks like. And it follows this formula. But, we would go and watch the infomercials on a dial, and you'd gauge on focus groups where the interest was, right? So the one segment that we would always do.
How does that work? Gauge on interest during the commercial?
So some
you would in real time rate what their reactions are?
Exactly.
Really?
Yeah, there's a dial, there's a dual dial. So basically, they watch you bring 10 people together, watch the infomercial, and there's interested, neutral, not interested.
And they would just do that as
the whole time that they're watching.
So that's basically like a like on a live stream then.
Exactly. Gauging the engagement as it runs up and down.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
So in that infomercial segment, you'd see naturally people would change. Like if we had a host segment that was like a big reveal, interest went up. When you get to the call to action, which is the sales pitch, interest went down because people know they've been sold to.
Yeah.
But the one segment that was always, I didn't do a ton of infomercials, but for the few that I was involved in, the most engaging segment was really the first time user, where they, and everybody's seen infomercials where they go to the beach or they go to the mall or they do this live intercept. That was the most engaging because you got the real timing, like the person using the product and going, wow, this is amazing. I just tried this for the first time. That was the most engaging part of it.
Okay.
What I want to create with the live shopping is bringing people onto the set to try and duplicate that engagement.
Trying things for the first time.
And seeing the real reaction.
And then being able to follow the brand immediately and watch it online after they've tried it in person.
Yeah, well, hopefully people are watching the live, and the live hosts are bringing real consumers onto it to try and duplicate that first-time user. Like, oh my God, you can try it. And that interaction, I think it's going to make it easier for the live hosts to, that they're not just talking to a blank camera, that they've actually got this engagement.
Yeah.
And then coupled, if you have another person there, okay, then it needs to be a real person because the authenticity needs to be there.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we've seen that when people walk in. Well, one of the problems that we're having to overcome is the shyness of some people. They're like, oh, they get on and they like, camera shot.
Yeah.
But I think
Good for everybody. It's still be
but some people love it, and there's some people that you can't really get them off. So we're Outlandish. We are solving that issue. We're already getting really far. And I think in the next couple of months, we're going to see some really good case studies of offline, online.
It's exciting.
Mix.
We want to be part of it.
Yeah. One more question I want to ask you: if you could go back,
No worries.
what would you change? What mistake would you be like? If I go back, I would not do that.
It's a very good question. Like in the context of tech,
Because people watching right now, they're probably like at the very early stage. What would you say? Like, just, hey, let's not do that.
it's a tough thing. It's a tough call. I don't know, man. We were really blessed.
You did everything right.
We definitely did not do everything right. But the things that we did were,
As the mind.
maybe I would have moved on the counterfeits faster.
Right.
Don't know if that's the case.
It's far.
Just more, it's very, very difficult. It's easy to look back with the vision, but got to tell you, like, I'm sure that if we asked my team members, they'd have a long list of things that we did wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe they just executed really well and they just pulled together. It was a really fun experience to go through.
Yeah.
Very grateful to have gone through it. So don't know if
It's a roller coaster.
it is. It's fun. It's addictive.
And you have to work 24/7 when that virality hits.
Yeah. Like when it happens, you just got to go all in. And we kind of did.
Yeah.
We just rolled with it and we just tried everything we could.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And Jason will be in Social Collective if you want to speak to Jason. And this is the Outlandish podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.